Monthly recurring charges are a great way to keep the lights on. They're a great way to keep that consistent revenue stream coming in. You're not getting that lumpy revenue of big hits, feast and famine kind of stuff. That's where we're seeing other MSPs, other VARs, other telecom agents. They're talking to the same people, so they're all trying to position the same services and options and get a piece of that wallet share. There's still a ton of opportunity out there. It's not like it's a zero-sum game.
Welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you skills, tactics, and channel news to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Incident Report. This is episode 78, and today we're talking Convergence. I'm your host. I'm half your hosts, Paul Burke. Across from me, Adam, how are you doing?
Good, Paul. Excited to be here. We are consistently seeing things in our world of sales and IT services converge, consolidate, and all sorts of fun stuff in that world going on right now. So when this came up on the rundown sheet for topics, I thought, yeah, for sure. Let's get into it. This is something that we've seen for a long time in the channel, so excited to chat today.
Yeah, so previously on the Incident Report, we were saying how we want to focus more on content that's going to help you in the channel, sales reps, deal with the changing environment, and one of the ones that keeps coming up is Convergence. We realized the whole idea of Convergence, we were finding stories in our conversations dating back to 2013 about Convergence. So it's definitely something that keeps popping up. I'm glad, Adam, you're here. Like, is this Convergence different? I feel like every time Convergence are coming around, we're like, well, this one is different than anything else we've ever experienced.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's unlike anything.
I got a good rule of thumb. If anyone ever says it'll be different this time, and they're referring to, I don't know, different political ideologies or financial shenanigans or things like Convergence, grab your wallet and make sure you got a good food supply and water supply and ammo supply. Just anyone that says it'll be different this time, it never is. There's nothing new under the sun. There are different iterations, right? So right now we're seeing a convergence of people dealing with automation and buzzword warning, artificial intelligence, machine learning. We're seeing some organizations like Microsoft who kind of converged all sorts of different technologies into their stack, be forced to kind of break that apart in a couple different ways. We're seeing the long-term effects of people who have made decisions with their technology platform, like around VMware, for example. Some of those rules are changing. So people are having to figure out, hey, I used to buy it this way, but now I'm going to consume it this way. So who helps me with that? Who helps me with that decision? Is it a consultant? Is it my VAR rep that I've been buying from, and golfing with for the last 20 years? Like, how is this going to flow out? So we're seeing a lot of cross currents on how people make decisions. And in our world, as salespeople and as people who are, advisors and consultants and delivery organizations, how are we meeting the customer with different tools, this time? It's a very similar story. Those stories back from 2015, 2012, 2013 that we were seeing around Convergence were around the idea that the managed service space, the VAR world, and the telecom brokers were all kind of sloshing into each other, right? They were all kind of getting into each other's chili, if you will, in their sales models and structures and things like that. That's continued to happen and continued to evolve. We're seeing organizations that have different sales models, resellers, distributors, brokers, are all kind of smashing together and doing a little bit of the same thing with a different flair to it, but they're all kind of getting involved in each other's business.
And why is this happening? Why is everybody getting into each other's chili?
Well, it has a little bit to do with how people are consuming technology. So there's the subscription-based conversation we talked about a lot, right? We talked about annual contract value and total contract value. And I was on the phone with a large OEM yesterday huge battleship, multi-billion-dollar company, and they were very proud that 60% of their revenue is now software based. This is a company that historically sold a lot of components, devices, optics, things that go in your data center and blinky green lights. So think physical infrastructure, but they were very, very excited. And this is something that was on their long-term roadmap of, hey, we want to be a software company, right? So they were very proud of the fact that I think it was 65% of their revenue in 2013 was software based. And those are annual reoccurring charges that the investor class and folks in Wall Street are very incentivized and give them higher valuations from a stock standpoint when they have that reoccurring sticky revenue. So it is a little bit around the technology, but it's also around what's powering the investment and what gets people higher valuations. And a lot of that is reoccurring revenue, and a lot of people will build their businesses around that. And so when you have a multi-billion-dollar manufacturer OEM that supports the network of the enterprise, no secret here, I'm talking about Cisco, they drive a lot of decisions around how people are going to sell their stuff because a lot of people buy their stuff. So if they're making that shift to reoccurring revenue and highly incentivizing people to support them on that shift, downstream providers, Quest is a downstream provider, partner of Cisco, you see that shift and then you have to decide, okay, how am I going to either support this or maintain operations, or what am I going to do to deal with my salespeople, deal with my operations people, deal with my accounting people, right? I used to buy $2 million worth of hardware and sell it for 2.2 and drop ship it and, hey, make your 10 points and cool. That doesn't exist anymore, or it kind of exists, but it doesn't exist in the same way. So how does everyone deal with that? And that's where the telecom world and the broker world, they were very used to the idea of selling a service that was a subscription-based service. We all have cable bills at home. We all pay for, well, some people do. I'm a Gen X millennial, so I still pay for TV right now. But a lot of people cut the cable. But anyways, we're all used to paying for our internet, right? So in a business standpoint, when you're buying phone and SIP and telecommunication lines, that's a subscription service. So the folks who used to broker those services were very used to that as a service transaction, right? Talking in terms of monthly reoccurring charges. The idea of a monthly reoccurring charge to a legacy VAR, even today, it's getting more ingrained because of Microsoft and Cisco and people selling that way, monthly reoccurring charges. But 5-10 years ago, that was like you were speaking Greek to a VAR. They were like, no, what's my gross margin? What's my discount? What's my incentivized discount structure if I'm a gold or a platinum partner, right? What can I buy it for and what can I sell it for? That was the language they spoke. They didn't speak what was my monthly reoccurring cost model, but the markets are forcing people to understand or at least get a little bit exposed to those business models. And the telecom guys are very comfortable with it. The inverse is also true with them. Bring them into the hardware world and try to talk to them about discounting, gross margin, one-time transactions. They look at you like you're speaking Greek to them. It's like, well, what are you talking about? No, what's my monthly recurring cost for this product? Mm-hmm. There might not be that yet. That might not exist in all the OEMs and manufacturers yet. They're all trying to get there. They're all sprinting to get there because they get higher stock valuations for it. But they're not all quite there. There's still a lot of people who buy hardware. There's still a lot of people who buy software. A lot of people buy on-premise phone systems. We were reviewing a report earlier last week around the UCaaS market, and there's still a significant amount of people who have on-premise phone systems. You talk to some people who build their specific consultant practices exclusively around selling call center and UCaaS solutions, and they'll scoff at the legacy on-prem stuff, but 50% of the market is still on-prem. It's a big market, right? And not everybody's going to go cloud first out the gate or even second or third generation like we're seeing now. People still have their preferences around how they want to consume technology, but those market forces are kind of forcing people to consolidate a little bit.
Is a lot of this driven by private equity money that is coming in? Is it the technology space that is wanting the convergence? Is it private equity that sees convergence as an opportunity to make a lot of profit?
Some of them are like, so private equity definitely disrupted our channel in part of the world. So we operate in a couple of different channels, right? We have a background as a value-added reseller, as a professional services organization, and as a supplier in the TSB world for technology, service brokers and distributors. Private equity guys got their mind fixated around the reoccurring revenue that gets paid by the supplier community to the individual agents and the TSBs, and saw that as a very lucrative way to, basically buy cash flow with cheap debt. And these guys have great spreadsheet models that basically say, hey, if I can finance it for 2 to 3 points and I can, maintain that or grow it by X amount and then sell it to the next guy, sell it to the next buyer. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. They're always looking for the next buyer. And as long as it makes sense in their spreadsheet, they'll go for it. I don't think they really are influencing the convergence. I think the convergence that we're seeing in sales models is coming from organizations having to diversify what they're offering to their customers in order to stay relevant. Okay. If you're still doing business the same way you were 10 years ago, you're in deep trouble. If you're still selling the same product set, like, well, no, I sell servers and switches and routers and firewalls. That's what I'm going to do. You can totally do that, but you better scale really, really aggressively or manage your costs really, really aggressively. But sometimes people get in that middle zone of like, well, they can't scale to the size of like the national VARs, but they want to pretend that they're like the national VARs. So they dump a lot of capital into the pre-sales activities, and that can burn you pretty quick. So you see a lot of folks flame out that way. But monthly recurring charges are a great way to keep the lights on. They're a great way to keep that consistent revenue stream coming in, what your subscription base is, who your customers are. You're not getting that lumpy revenue of big hits, feast and famine kind of stuff. So that's where we're seeing other MSPs, other VARs, other telecom agents get in. Basically, they're talking to the same people, so they're all kind of trying to position the same services and options and get a piece of that wallet share. There's still a ton of opportunity out there. It's not like it's a zero-sum game.
So if I were an agent or a VAR, where do you see the opportunity? Where is the growth potential?
So the biggest pain points that we're seeing right now are in the security space, actual operational visibility of what people have in place today. A lot of organizations have very limited understanding of their current vulnerabilities and how they're going to recover if something goes wrong. There's kind of I don't want to say it's like a fraudulent behavior or emperor has no clothes type of a scenario, but there are a lot of people skating on thin ice right now, hoping it doesn't happen to them. A lot of the organizations we get involved in, I don't think it's any malicious intent or anything like that. It's just technology is evolving very, very quickly. And sometimes organizations have IT leadership and shifts and resources, and everyone's just trying to do their best to keep the ship moving forward. Sometimes it could really be beneficial for organizations to go back and check out, hey, let's just do a checkup on where your current patching cycles are current, right? What's your patch levels right now, right? How are you managing your backups? Are you good? Are you comfortable on your backups? Have you reviewed your service level agreements with your key providers? Like, if this person goes out of business and the lights go off and they're your main manufacturer or your main partner who supports your firewalls, what happens to your business? We had one client who called us in a panic. It wasn't a security incident, but it was definitely an emergency. Their MSP had gone out of business and hadn't told them that, oh, by the way, they never paid for their subscription licensing remember those annual contract values that we talked about that's really important for Wall Street? Mm-hmm. Well, managed service providers that are providing firewalls as a service for 50 of your locations, if they don't pay that bill to that vendor, that software stops working. Mm-hmm. It's not like the old days where you could kind of pirate software or use software and get those annoying little alerts that said, hey, you gotta re-up your subscription. No. When Microsoft 10 years ago came out with Office 365 and the call home features and the subscription-based features of functionality, they can lock you out if you're not paying your bills. And that's what happened to a customer that called us and let us know, hey, our MSP went away. Apparently they hadn't been paying their bills for the last 3 months. No one told us that. Can you help us restore the licensing to our firewalls because we're dead in the water? Had nothing to do with technology, had nothing to do with like a failure. It was all just, hey, these were subscription services and someone didn't pay the power bill. So power company shut off the lights. Those are vulnerabilities that are just, it's basic stuff, but those are huge opportunities to help people uncover those potential threats, those potential gaps in their system. Because an IT director running a 200, 300 person shop does not have time to do that. They need help.
So am I hearing you right that patching might be the easiest way to approach a potential client?
It definitely can be. Sometimes people, we used to, and we still do, we would do workshops. And usually for the first hour and a half, 2 hours of a workshop, we're talking about DR or security or business continuity or any type of workshop topic. Usually the defense shields are up for the first hour and a half, 2 hours. I went to a law firm one time, very huge law firm, really cool office down in Los Angeles. And the IT director sat with his arms folded and hate breathing through his nostrils for the first felt like a really long time, because you're in his world talking about areas that might not be secure. And that's a dangerous place to be. And a lot of customers are waiting. And this is what I advise agents and consultants and folks who are trying to get into the space. They're waiting for the pitch. They're waiting for you to try to sell them something. And they're kind of in defense mode. What we find really, really successful is having a conversation about what they're trying to do, where they currently are, and then sharing stories around what we're seeing in the marketplace. You do that for about an hour with someone. Eventually you establish that kind of connection with them, like, oh, this person's not here to pitch me. They're here to share their experience and see if, you look at the Venn diagram of, is there an overlap where their experience and their background can help me operate something within my organization? That's where you build that trust. And you can only do that through dialogue. Like some people do it through pretty PowerPoints or one pages or things like that. Those are great catalysts, and that's kind of table stake stuff. But like, you don't have to be an expert in it. You just have to like express, hey, we're here to help. If you'd like our help, we've been doing this for a while. No, I'd love to talk to you about it. That's where I think that's where the convergence topic is so important. Like I was on another partner event earlier this week. You're in the room with the people who are making the decisions. I don't care if you're an MSP. I don't care if you're a telecom consultant who's worked for AT&T for 20 years and you always used to do it one way or another. I don't care if you're a VAR and you've been selling HP and Cisco gear for 30 years. You're in the room with people who make decisions around IT. And if you express the ability and the sincere desire to help them with their current challenge and bring in resources who can help them, you're in the room. The opportunity is massive. And that's where I think the convergence is finally happening, where anyone in the IT space, whether you've sold circuits, sold hardware, or been a consultant, you're talking to folks. There are tons of avenues to get them the right resources. It's pretty amazing. I mean, you can Google, you can go online, you can call your TSD, and you can have access to all sorts of capabilities. That's really kind of the secret sauce of what Quest has built. We built an organization that supports that convergence. I get heckled all the time and go to channel events and people joke around me, Adam, you always say, yes, you can help. It's like, yeah, I can, because we've built an organization that delivers based on the client's requirements, not on what I want to sell.
They're always heckling you. Here's Mr. I can help.
Yeah. Like I've said before, some people call us the Swiss Army knife. Some people call us the dumpster. I think Swiss Army knife's a nicer ring to it.
When you explained that guy like hate breathing through his nostrils, it made me think of Tony Soprano. First scene in The Sopranos is him sitting down with a therapist for the first time. I think his arms were crossed, very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And then slowly starting to open up.
Yes. It was a very similar type of thing. No one got whacked. It's a longtime customer of ours, and we established a great relationship. But excited to have those conversations. And I think that's a huge opportunity for the market right now.
First thing, just have a conversation. Do you address with the clients, hey, I understand you're waiting for a pitch. I get that that's what you're expecting, but we do things differently.
No.
Like, does addressing it?
No.
Oh, addressing it up front doesn't help.
No. Because they think if you go into a car lot, right? Not to say I'm a car salesman, but if you go into a car lot and the first thing out of that guy's mouth is, don't worry, you can trust me. What does that make you feel? Anyone who says, don't worry, you can trust me is like, you don't believe them, right? Like, it's like, that's an instant signal. Like, so you kind of try to demonstrate that through your questioning. Like, hey, here's where we found. You don't want to be indifferent to their challenges, but you almost want to be indifferent to the fact that, like, hey, I'm here. I can help. I got experience. I'd love to help you. But if you don't want my help, I got tons of other people who would love to talk. But so you're not like, you're not arrogant about it, but you want to come at it, or at least from what's been successful for me is like, I'm excited about what we do. I'm excited about what we can offer when I partner with folks. So you have a little bit of that passion, but then you also mix it in with, hey, we're peers. You have something to offer. Yeah. I have something to offer. Do you want to work together? Yeah, you could cheat me out of money. I could cheat you out of money. People might have their defenses up, but if you work together, maybe we could put something together that's pretty cool.
This has been really helpful, Adam. I appreciate it. I'm sure everybody listening right now appreciates it as well. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. We're happy to help. We want to dive into the topics that you're most interested in learning about. So we'll see you soon. Adam, have an amazing week. And everybody, thank you for listening.
Thanks, Paul. Awesome. Good talking to you, and everyone have a great week.
Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questsys.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questsys.com. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.